Well, good evening and welcome to the 5 o'clock news. I'm Pete Ferryman.
And I'm Nora Hart. First at 5, Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield has filed a new lawsuit against the Trump administration.
Now, this time over the federal government's threats to withhold funding to services that support sexual and domestic violence survivors unless states comply with immigration enforcement. Fox 12's Julia Lopez joins us now live to break it all down. Julia?
Well, to say that the advocates behind these services are terrified is an understatement. These funds were already reduced earlier this year, and now they may be lost entirely. We just heard from Attorney General Rayfield committing to fighting that loss as one group already closes its doors.
I don't even know where to start.
Brandy Sulliver leads the Sexual Assault Resource Center, which has advocated for more than 2,500 survivors a year for decades, until last week.
I had to make a very difficult decision to do an emergency pause on all of our services.
They're one of 147 organizations, including every district attorney's office, facing insurmountable cuts. The Trump administration says it will withhold funds from the Federal Victims of Crime Act unless sanctuary states comply with immigration enforcement.
Here in the United States, we do not leverage victims of crime or other vulnerable communities to meet a political end. So this is incredibly unconscionable at this point in time.
Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield joins 21 other states in suing the administration and asking the state for backfill funds before others go on pause too.
This is probably the most heartbreaking thing I have ever seen. Clackamas Women's Services recently had to lay off 23% of our staff and reduce our services.
Earl Baum says children are disproportionately affected.
A young girl who was 5 years old forced to testify in court about what her father had done to her. So afraid she couldn't even say her name when she had to take her oath. And it was a victim advocate and support from CARES Northwest that gave her the strength to be able to move forward and talk about what had happened to her.
For Sulliver, this means an 80% reduction in federal funds on top of state cuts, leaving the SARC with a $150,000 gap.
Issues like sexual violence and domestic violence impact communities who have historically been marginalized at much higher rates.
Halting services means survivors and families lose a 24-hour crisis line, a hand to hold during a hospital exam, and confidential support during the court process.
That is what advocates at the Sexual Assault Resource Center did. We were there with them, we believed them, and we were with them throughout their journey. All those sorts of things are not going to be there.
Sulliver has been in meetings all day looking for any way to keep advocacy alive. All of these organizations are now turning to the community for help. We have links and still available resources on our mobile app. Reporting live from Oregon City, Julia Lopez, Fox 12 Oregon.